Welcome guys, back to another video on Oz Motors. Just general help for you guys to either save money, time, effort, booking appointments with garages, etc. Just have a look at these videos. We're going to be on a Mini 1 today, the same one as I done a coolant change on the other day. I've just an update on that, by the way. I've test drove it now for a few miles. The temperature is stable and everything's great. So back to the brakes as titled on this video. We're going to be servicing brakes. It's relatively simple. The reason why we do this is because the pistons that's in calipers can seize. Also, what has been known is for pads to kind of like grind to a halt in the caliper because of build-up of rust, of particles from the road. It's even known for gravel to kick up between the pad and the discs and then score the discs. So as you apply the brake, that's kind of rare, but it does happen. So this is quite a good little practice for you guys to get the tools out and yeah, to have a go yourself. Just take your time and believe in yourself. So yeah, service brake, we're going to do this on a Mini 1 R50 1.6 petrol. And yeah, just a general service on only one side. I will say I'm only doing one side today. It's the side that's squeaking on mine. So there's a method to my madness. Why I'm doing this. It is squeaking, and yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to service one side. What the reason why I'm saying only one side is because I'm not going to do both on this video because it's exactly the same on the other side. Okay, all calipers are different on all models, Vauxhalls, Peugeots. It's not going to be exactly the same. If it's a Mini, it most probably will be. These are stock calipers, so they're not aftermarket at all. But yeah, let's get into it and show you what the basics you need to do this job. It's a relatively simple job. I would say it's more simple than a coolant change and an oil change, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty simple. Okay, so I'll just whiz the camera around now and we'll have a look. So this is kind of the basics you need. One sec, I'm a bit too close. Okay, right. So again, this is a raw video, by the way, okay? Also, I'm going to be using a GoPro attached to my forehead so I can actually do the job. It's very difficult. So we've got a wire brush. That one's seen better days, I will admit, but I don't know, it doesn't need to be immaculate for this job. I definitely need a new one. That is to scrape away the rust where the pads seem to slide a little bit, where we will be applying grease. Next one is the G-clamp. The G-clamp is to push the piston back once we've undone the bled nipple. Obviously, it won't go back without undoing the bleed nipple, sorry. It won't do that because there'll be pressure behind it. You'll never do it, okay? All will come, it all will make sense when you see me use this stuff. Also, the obvious, brake fluid, .4 in this case. You can get .3, you can get .whatever actually. Please check in your manual what brake fluid your vehicle uses. In this case, the Mini 1 is a .4. It says on the cap, which I will show you. Christ, I sound really robotic today. Anyway, yeah, .4 is what the Mini takes. As far as I know, anyway. I will double check before I apply that. But yeah, some cars take .3, like the Daewoo Matiz, for example, which I used to have, .3 that was. It'll say you can't really go wrong. And believe it or not, that's a type of grease. We'll be needing grease. Well, for everything to be sliding into what it should be doing. I want the pads to come away from the disc when I depress the brakes, and I also want the opposite to happen when I press the brakes. This will help after I've used the wire brush, that is, and cleaned it up. That comes with the whole fact that you need a rag, okay? You need plenty of rags, actually, to catch the brake fluid as well that you're going to be using, if any. Remember that brake fluid is ultra corrosive, so you want to clean it up as much as possible. And of course the bleed hose for the bleed nipples. This one's pretty brand new. I've not long had it at all. One-way valve there. That will be going into this pot whilst I bleed. That goes onto the bleed nipple. And yeah, I just pump the brakes and get rid of the air in the system. That's exactly what that's for. You don't want air in your system because your brakes will be spongy as heck. So that's the basics of what you need. A flathead screwdriver on this case would be good as well, because there's a retaining clip on the caliper, which is a pain in the ass, which you'll see. I'm sure as well during this video you'll see extra tools that I've used, like hex keys and stuff, to get the caliper free, but this is only a basic list. Okay, so onwards and upwards to the car now. I'm gonna jack it up prior. I'm not gonna record that bit. Just remember that to get the wheel off any car, you have to crack the wheel nuts off first before you raise it. That's pretty obvious. But some people raise it first and then try and crack the nuts. That's not going to work because the wheel will spin. The only way that could work is probably on the rear when you've got the handbrake on. But yeah, when you go to the car, please, the 4 nuts or 6 or whatever is on your car, crack them first with the car on the ground, and then jack it up when they're loose. Makes sense, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm going to prep the car. I'm going to get the GoPro on my head, and we're going to get cracking, and I'll try to speak you through it. Judging by the weather outside, you might hear some whistling of wind. I apologise. There's nothing I can do about it. I live in a semi-shithole. So this is our summer where we're getting a lot of rain. You wouldn't believe. Okay, so I'll see you at the car. Ciao. Right, the wheel is off, and the steering is far right as possible, so I can get to the caliper and show you guys what I'm talking about. So here we are. Like I said, the wheel's off. Excuse the wind, but this is your caliper, and yes, it's undersealed to help with rust. This is all undersealed as well, so yeah, excuse me on that one. Right, so I don't know if you can see, there's bungs here. Get them out like that, and there's one underneath too. Okay, just a bung that protects the screw behind. There's this retaining clip as well that comes out just like that. That will be a bitch to get back in, by the way. Okay, so now we need the hex key, which is probably that one, I'm guessing. I bet it is. Need a long extension, just like that, and undo these. Here we go. Okay, so it's going to be this way. You might want a spanner on that. Oh, Yeah, wow, okay. Let me get a helping spanner. Tricks of the trade. Watch this. So if you've got a bar that's not long enough to get any leverage behind it, look, get a spanner like that, and then hopefully it'll undo. Wow, like that. Jesus, man. See that undoing? Right there? Don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. There it comes. Jesus, that was tight. Okay. And now for the other one, which is under there. Exactly the same. Oh, Jesus, man. That was so tight. Okay, ready? Whoa. Okay. I just headbutted the car. Right, hopefully you can see what's going on. Wow, I just actually headbutted the car. Right, they're both undone. Now for the bleed nipple, which I might have the right size here. No, not quite, it's a 10mm. Get 10mm. And undo the bleed nipple. Seriously, the bleed nipple's that tight as well? Okay, there we go. Jesus. Right, so we've undone that one, undone that one, and undone that one. Okay? Right, so the bleed nipple is to get air in the system. In theory, you should get brake fluid out there. There we go. Yep. That's good. That's a good sign. Okay. So, this should, if I get these bolts right out, these need to be greased, by the way. Come out. There we go. Yeah, they need to be cleaned and greased. So we'll do that in a minute. Need to put them in an appropriate place, really. And I want that one out too. There we go. Yeah, they're a bit shit. So yeah, we'll refurbish them in a minute. So this caliper should come right out. Like so. There's a pad. Loads of meat on it. That's good. And there's your other pad, which has probably got clips inside the piston. Yep. There we go. And there's your piston. This caliper's looking not too bad, to be honest. So we'll rest that up there. Okay. I don't know how this is coming out on video. I'm not sure. But there's your caliper. Cool. So now we're gonna clean all this up. This is a bit gunky. This is where the wire brush comes in. So I'm gonna get my tools from the table and clean all this up. If you want to take this bracket off, it's that bolt and that bolt. Okay, but we're not going to do that today. We don't need to. I'm just going to grease everything up and clean it up. You can see it's been greased before. Look, that's copper grease. That's probably the ideal stuff to use, but we're not going to use that today. Right. What I will do first though is drive this piston back. The way to do that is to undo this bleed nipple. And there's going to be brake fluid coming out. Actually, first of all, I'm going to get a cloth stay. Gonna get a cloth a minute. Where did I? We'll use this. There we go. And whilst I'm in here, I'm gonna get my tools, wire brush, all this stuff that I said you need. We will be needing. Oh God, it's gonna rain again, I think. Great. So glamorous living here. Right, there's that wind I was talking about. Right, so the bleed nipple needs to be undone, not over the pad, the disc, not really. If you can't help it, then you can't help it. But so undo the nipple, get your G clamp, already the fluid is coming out. What you want to do is force this piston back. There we go. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can. That's the whole point. Oh my. This is with two hands. Okay. So here we go. I'll try and do this up now. It's very difficult. There we go. So the piston now is going back as I see the fluid coming out. That's actually all the way back, which I'm not surprised about. I'm not surprised that's all the way back because there's so much meat. There's so much meat on the pads that the piston doesn't need to be so far back. It doesn't need the clearance. So get rid of all this brake fluid because, like I said, it's really corrosive. There we go. Okay. If I'm going too fast, don't worry. There will be a summary at the end. Okay, that's good. Okay, so the piston's back, the bleed nipple's done up again, and now we get the wire brush and clean up down here. Try not to get your disc if you can. Okay, this side. This is where I find out the GoPro hasn't been recording the whole time. And up the top. See that dust coming off? I don't know if you can see the dust. It's just brake dust. Just shit, basically. So this is where your pads will sit. Going quite fast because it's about to rain, I think. Again. Right, so now we've got the cloth as well. We'll clean up these pins. These pins need to have quite a lot of lube on them, I would say. Grease. Clean them up. It's starting to rain. God's sake. It's June, believe it or not. Alright. Okay, so we're good now to get some grease on it. I mean, the pads kind of sit in like that, so it's important to grease there and there. I'll do that the other side actually, it's lighter for you. So that they sit in there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but that's where they slide like that. So it's important to grease in here. Alright, so we'll get some grease and we'll do exactly that. In it goes, just like that. You don't want to overdo it, not really. Here comes the rain. Try not to get grease on your discs. That goes without saying, surely, which I've just done. It won't be crazily stupid thing to do, but at the same time, it does need to brake. You know, I mean, you want the brakes to work. I hope this camera angle is good for you guys. Right, so in theory, how much grease I've put on that bracket, you won't need grease on the shoes. That's it for the grease, I think. Oh, hang on. No. You want grease on these pins. Just like that. Because they slide. They slide back into place. Okay? Don't overdo it. These are brakes after all. Okay. So that's all prepped. Ready to go back in. So get the caliper and we'll get these pads back in. The right way will be good. Like that. And the other one like that. What we'll do actually is put that in there. This is a bit of a bitch, I'm not gonna lie. There we go. Let's look at a bit more like, there we go, that's cool. Now that groove there is for a pad wear sensor, which I clearly haven't got. I thought I did. What's that there? No, that's not it. Yeah. That there, I don't know if you can see that. That's a pad wear sensor, so when it goes down to a certain level on your dash, you'll have a little light come on. Clearly I haven't got that, so we'll go without. So we'll put these pins back in, bottom first I would say. Bit of a challenge. And top. There we go. Okay, so it kind of requires a little bit of spring. I think probably catching the top is probably better. Okay, we need a hex key. And we'll just do them up a little bit, just catch it, won't go over the top, just like this. Again, we've greased it, so okay, that's catching nicely. And we'll go underneath and do the other one. Hopefully that'll catch nicely too. Might need a bit of persuasion. That's got in, yeah. Do them up, but I don't think you need to do them up as tight as they were originally done up. That was a bit crazy. Just over hand tight, I would say. I mean, you don't want to hand tight. That's crazy too. But you do want them. You don't want them reamed up like they were. And by the looks of things, they were reamed up that much. I've bent my bar. There we go. Right. Oh crap! Oh, wrong way. God damn it. Could just cheat and do that like that. There we go. And the other one. Just ream them up a bit. Okay. So you can see there's clearance now between the pad and the disc. That's only because I pushed the piston back. So we've got to make sure that the bleed nipple is done up still. Yep, that's all good. And you see that movement? That's what you want. That's what all the grease is doing, and the pins especially. I do definitely want to make sure that they're done up there. That's definitely done up. That's a good one. And this one does look as though I'm a bit of a hypocrite now and reaming them up, but I'm not doing it as tight as they were. Okay, right. Whew. Right, so calipers back in, pads are back in, retaining clip. Now this should be fun. These are always fun. There. Right, so you want to get one side in like that, and then do that. So you've got both sides on the top and the bottom. Yeah, and then try to get that one in there. I've had years of fun of doing this. It's a challenge. It's always been a challenge. Oh god. You could do it that way, I suppose. Hang on. I'm going to try it this way. Wow, that worked. Okay. That doesn't look right. Why does that not look right? What have I rushed it too much? Hang on. Oh. Yeah, that's right. Why did paranoia setting in? Oh, okay. It's okay. It's just paranoia setting in. That is the right way. Okay, so that's retaining clip in. They're done up. Right, so now we've got to pop the bonnet and bleed the system, which is this bit. This is the first time I've used this hose, by the way, so be patient. This is a brand new hose. And apparently that goes on there, which is quite a good fit, and then that goes in there, and then we pump away. I wish I could film it for you. I might be able to do that still, because I might leave the GoPro on the caliper. Maybe. That is in, isn't it? Yeah, that's in the fluid. That's way in the fluid. Okay, right, so we'll pop the bonnet and I'll show you where the fluid actually goes in. So bonnet catches here. Up that, like that. and the fluid is here. And as you can see, it says .4 brake fluid. Undo this one, and there's your brake fluid. Okay, and that's where we got to keep an eye on the level. So right now, I'm going to undo the bleed nipple. I'm going to pump the brakes and get the air out of the system. Which is probably better with a 10mm. No. We'll just take that off. I was thinking about putting a 10mm spanner on it, but I think we'll be all good with a socket. Maybe. There we go. I think it will be better with a spanner actually, because then I can leave the nipple on, the hose on. I don't know. Right, that's undone. So in theory, we should see fluid in a minute. Okay. Right, so I'm going to go in the car, pump the brakes. I wish I could leave the GoPro. That's only just in the fluid, look. I'm not 100% liking how this setup is at the minute. It's new, it's a new hose. It needs to be longer, doesn't it? Okay, we'll pump the brakes. There we go, we've got fluid in the system. We've got fluid in the system, sorry for the wind still. So that, in theory, should be pumping air out of the system. But what we need to do is keep the reservoir topped up at the top as well. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've got another bottle of .4. See how the level's gone down a bit? It's because I've pumped it right through the system. Yeah? So I'm going to get another bottle. I'm going to get another bottle of .4 and completely cheat. Okay, .4. Here we go. This is cheating. Most of you will have one bottle. But I've got two because I'm greedy. Okay, so we'll just top it up. Okay. Right, so what I'll do is I'll leave the GoPro if I can, like there, if I can. So you can watch maybe bubbles coming out. I don't know. I won't be able to see what's going on, but I'll pump the brakes again. Right, it feels really stiff. So I'm guessing there's no air in the system. I don't know if you've seen anything on the camera, but it's certainly doing something. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the bleed nipple up, take the hose out. You can tell this hose is new to me. I'm going to top it up here. We're going to go again a couple of times, but this time make sure that the bleed nipple is totally undone. Like that. That's undone more than it was.
Stay on, please. Pump the pedal again. Okay. I can't see any air. Oh no, there's air there, look. There's air in that pipe. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, we'll do it up. Okay. Corrosive crap. Okay, so the pads are now touching the disc. The disc should be free, which it is. That's good, that's a good sign. That means they're not binding. I'm guessing the system will be bled. So I've done up the nipple. Put these caps back on. Okay. As you can see, the grease in there, look. That's what we done earlier. They'll be free now to explore whatever they need to, wherever they need to go. The pads, they will go. Let's clear all this brake fluid up. Okay. Right. That is pretty much it, mate. Okay, so retaining clip was quite easy. They're done up, that's done up, they're done up. I'm making sure I haven't forgot anything because I'm recording. I seem to forget stuff when I'm recording. It's looking pretty good, I would say. That's definitely done up, isn't it? Yeah. I only cleaned these tools yesterday. Okay. Yep. Okay, so that's pretty much how you service one side. And that's only one side. The other side will be exactly the same. But I'll give a summary now anyway. I'll just quickly put it back together. I'm not sure how to empty that hose. Oh, there we go. It's coming out now. Right, let's just kind of empty this hose a minute. Christ. I'll do that in a minute. That's not exactly gonna make for good viewing, is it? Right, so yeah. I'll give a summary, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You've got rid of air in the hose via the bleed nipple. You've greased up the railings for the pads to actually travel. After wire brushing it, you've made sure that the disc is free moving without someone pushing on the pedal. When I'm in there now, the pedal should be firm. It shouldn't go all the way down, because when you push the pedal, obviously the piston pushes the pads against this disc. That's how you slow down. So in theory now I should be able to jump into this Mini and the pedal will be firm, like it was basically. If you do this service to both sides, you would have replenished your braking system. Any problems you come across, like corrosion on your piston, or a seized piston, like this seal for example, can go. Don't know if you can see that seal. That can perish and leak fluid through. Stuff like that, you'll need new parts. But we'll give a summary in a minute. Right now I'm going to put this back together, which requires the steering wheel to be back to normal. But then again, I could just do it like this. Could possibly cheat Which I kind of think I can, yeah. I'm going to go for that way. God, this is a bigger wheel than the Matiz. See if we can catch it. Okay. There we go. Oh man, that's a bloody big wheel. Okay, so you can kind of gather what's going on here now. Is all the studs are going back in. If you want to be fussy, go to your Haynes manual or your instruction book to find out the torque of these studs. I will openly admit I'm not going to do that. But I recommend it, you know, but I'm not going to do it. Right, so what I suggest is when you put it back is to just go hand tight on these and then drop them from the jack and then do them up, which I'm going to do. So yeah, meet you back in the house for a summary after I do this.
Okay. I think you'd agree that went to plan. Again, the summary is all to do with what went wrong, what went right, and anything that springs to mind for me to give you advice is, well, this is the time. What went wrong? What went wrong? Well, the bleeding tool, I suppose, I was a little bit new to. I've only got that today, so I mean, I wasn't completely in the dark, but I don't know. Kind of learning as I was going there on that one. I'm not new to bleeding systems, that's for sure. But I'm new to that tool. So it didn't go wrong. It's one of them things I was going, oh yeah, you know. Also, what went wrong was possibly because I was using a GoPro. I headbutted the car with the GoPro, and then it might have affected the angle at which I was filming. Because I'm doing that kind of blindfolded, I don't know how much you've seen of what I did. So that could have gone wrong. But yeah, to run it by what tool I've actually used to bleed the system, which I probably think is the most important part of it, I use this. It worked pretty well, I think. I've bled brakes before, and the only concern I've got about it really is it felt the brakes felt really stiff pushing down when they're meant to feel completely free when you're bleeding. But I don't know. I don't think that was a major concern really. The only bit that I kind of struggled with a little bit is the fact that I was just too lazy to get a 10mm spanner out my toolbox. I kind of done it up and undone it by hand, the bleed nipple. So we could possibly put that down as things that went wrong, but that's kind of my fault, if anything. I've jumped back in the Mini now with it all done up, and the brakes are fine. I can roll the Mini and the brakes seem to work. So what I'm about to do is check the level again. I'll film that to make sure that you guys have an idea of where the reservoir is and exactly what to do at the end of all this. Because you've been pumping brake fluid through the system and out the bleed nipple, you would probably have lost fluid. So keep an eye on that, please, because you'll be sucking in air from the top if you really don't. Okay. and then you'll be bleeding nothing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go out to the car now. The hood is popped open, ready to rock and roll. I'll film this bit with my phone. And yeah, so follow me. Let's have a look. Again, .4, synthetic based. And this is your reservoir right here, top left of the car as you look at it. As you can see, .4. Oh, yep, .4 brake fluid. That's exactly what we're using. And the levels dropped a tiny bit. It's not much. Not much to write home about. So what we'll do is we'll just top it up if the wind... It's like a hurricane today here. This is going to go past it, I know it. Oh. Yep, that was pretty terrible. I'll clean that up. Like I said, it's corrosive. Brake fluid is totally corrosive. So that needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, it's just a little top up. Keep an eye on that. What I'll do is I will check that after I've used the car again. I'm going to get a rag right now actually. I don't like brake fluid being anywhere but in that reservoir. So one sec. Okay. Let's clean that up. That was a terrible shot. Now I can't get the tissue out. Jesus Christ. There we go. That's a bit better. There's a... I think that's a... power steering pipe going there, I think. Anyway. This is about braking today. Yeah, so keep an eye on that. We'll drop the hood because everything's, all the caps are on. And yeah, that's it really. I mean, the cap's back on, the wheel's back on. I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm going to straighten the wheel up. It doesn't cause any harm, but let's get the microphone out the noise and the wind. But yeah, that's it, guys. That is that's how you service a brake system, I would say, or look after it, or make sure it's functioning. There was nothing wrong with the brake. It was squeaking a bit on that side when it was really hot. So I chose to show you guys how to do it on that side. It's just as well. But what I do recommend is do both sides in one sitting, which I'm not going to do today. So yeah, things that went right. So we've done wrong. Things that went right. Well, pretty much everything. Everything went right. There was no split on the piston. The piston seal. That's probably the most important thing you should check when the pads are out. When the pads are out, please check that piston seal to see if it's split. If it is, replace. There's seals also inside the caliper which push right up against the piston, which keeps the fluid behind the piston. Please check if there's any leaks. If there is, you have a problem. Take the caliper out and rebuild. On this occasion, there was nothing like that. So I'm not going to take the piston completely apart for no reason, even for this video. Also, I started to panic on those pins. Do you remember those pins that you grease up? They were ultra tight. I know they've got to be tight. I'm not disputing that, but bloody, that's when I headbutted the car, I think, wasn't it? I had yeah, I had butted the wing, so now I've got to repair the wing now because I've probably dented it with my bloody great forehead. So yeah, I don't know, nothing went wrong really. Everything went right on that, and yeah, I can't see any problem with that. Just please make sure that you grease where appropriate. Don't over grease, and try not to get grease on your pad and your discs like I did, or any your pads actually. Obviously, grease is a lubricant of some sort, and you do not want to lubricate your brakes. Goes without saying that they rely on friction to stop you. So please, it's not a lubrication. It's just a maintain. It's a maintenance task. Okay. So any questions? Drop them in the comments. Again, I'm only going to show one side. That's literally the front brakes. The back brakes are a different thing because the handbrake is there. So that's maybe a different video. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Or if you haven't, then please just leave a comment. I would like to improve what I'm trying to do. It's very hard to film whilst doing something like that. So please be kind. Ciao. Beauty.
Every single day, I'm gonna make it.